Without a vision, the people perish. Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker, Bonnie Libhart.
Hello and welcome. I'm Bonnie Libhart, and I'm delighted that you joined us. You know that a new book is coming out. It's a three-part series of Emily, and we're real excited about that. The person I'm going to have you to meet just now will be someone that I think that you're going to learn something from, and I really want you to pass this information along. She happened to be the one that did a lot of work on the book Backstage with Bernice Turner, and we have a corrected copy now. There for a while we had some where we call Pat Benatar a gentleman, and she's a very beautiful country and western singer. But those things have been corrected now. But she's the one that was instrumental in helping get this book to market. Well, her name is Jennifer Starace, and I'm going to have her to tell you about her job and something that's coming up real soon, and something that a person did a dissertation on recently, and it's bullying. Bullying at school, at work, at home, all over neighborhoods. Bullying is something that she may have an answer for you to help us to help people not bully so much anymore. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. We are very excited. I'm very excited. This is a passion that I have, and I'm interested in helping other people understand the problems that we have in the community with bullying. And my regular position is the client services manager for a company here in town called Business Resource Solutions. And basically what I do there is soft skills training and recruiting in the human resources arena.
And I know this may be aired after, when she's going to be speaking at the Von Braun Center, but we're going to have her tell about that anyway, because you could get the DVD and have it for a resource for yourself. Tell us about that particular event and how that came about.
Okay. The workplace bullying, it's called Workplace Bullying, the Silent Epidemic. And this is a presentation that the North Alabama Human Resources Management Society decided to put on to help people in the corporate community understand the severe impact of bullying, not just to the individual, but also to the corporate bottom line, and how it reduces productivity and all the different things that we are looking at constantly trying to improve in the workforce. So one of the things that we wanted to do is make people aware, and I certainly wanted to make people aware of all the impacts that bullying has, not just in the workforce, but also in the community.
You know, Jennifer, it's not just the workforce. It happens in homes, in schools, in Christian schools, in schools that are public schools, all over. I know that I emailed you a story, and you certainly can tell it or elaborate on it, but a good friend of mine that you that live at Village of Providence may have seen her over here. Her son committed suicide because of bullying at school. He was made fun of constantly. He was hit and knocked down, and a lot of horrible things happened to him, and his way out was just to take his own life. 12-year-old that hung himself. And so it is a very serious problem and challenge that each one of us need to figure out, take care of, that it's not our children that are doing this, are our mates or our family members. So tell me how you got interested in this aspect of bullying.
Well, I'll tell you, Bonnie, 1 in 6 children are bullied, and it's really a tragic story that you tell, and I wish that it were unique. Unfortunately, there are many stories, and I really got into this aspect of child behavior and also adult behavior because my son, who actually started school, was actually having some of these things happen to him. He would come home and be very upset, and he would cry and say, I don't want to go to school anymore. And he's a very social child and just very likable. And so I started to investigate some of the things that were taking place. And one day he said, this kid, he keeps poking at me, and he just keeps bothering me and touching me and doing these things. And so one day I went up to school and observed, and I just sat in the back of the classroom, and sure enough, this thing, the little boy had no idea that I was, Jacob's mom, and he certainly had all kinds of poking and prodding and kicking while they were sitting on the floor mat, and I just noticed how blatant it was. And I don't think that the child really wanted to be a bully, but he was certainly being incredibly annoying. And I think that really spurred me to look into how many children we have with these aggressive tendencies. And unfortunately, it's not just at school, but it's at home and it's at work.
And you have some actual figures that you could share with people, and also I think you ended up taking him out of that school, putting him in a private Christian school, and what happened with that situation?
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't dramatically better, and we still had some instances of that. It was not as extreme as what we had had in the public school, but we did have children play rough now, and I don't think that they understand boundaries between what has happened in the media, then television. There's this misconception that, if you push people or if you make them fall down or rough them up, that's playing. And I think that we really have to take a more active role in helping them understand what aggressive behavior is.
What are some of the statistics that you have found?
Well, I think the first thing that we're going to go over in the presentation on Tuesday is that 37% of the workforce, and these are adults, have reported that they have been bullied at some time in their career. And I think it's a really interesting statistic because what we see in a lot of the reports for bullying is that if a child does not learn a different behavior, then what happens is by the time they're 24, 60% of those bullying children will have committed a felony, and 40% of them will have committed multiple felonies. And so if you think about the fact that there's 60% of them that probably will go to jail or have some type of record that they have to work with when they come into the workforce, then that leaves 40%. And so that statistic really lines up pretty well to the idea that 37% of the workforce have been bullied.
And that's the reported number, because I'm sure there's others that haven't been reported. And what angers me, in addition to the injured victims and their being caused to have a low self-image and low self-esteem, is that our taxes have to pay for those people in the prison and jail system. And then so it takes out of every person's pocket when this happens. So what are some of the other things that you're going to go over on Tuesday?
Well, some other things that we're going to talk about the workplace is just how when we notice these aggressive behaviors in individuals, what can we do as human resource professionals or as corporate workers and team members, bosses, if you see people who have these tendencies, like they're always stealing someone's credit, or
identity theft happened to me, lasted for 3 years.
And And other things like berating someone in public, really taking them down a notch, putting them in their place, I think as they would call it in corporate America. This is a form of bullying. What we see a lot is that women have a tendency to emotionally bully, and men have a tendency to emotionally and physically bully people. And I think what's really important for people to notice too is that harassment is a very fine line between bullying and harassment. Harassment is really something that is geared towards a protected class. It could be someone's age, someone's national origin, and their religion. They specifically focus on things like that. They make berating comments based on this subject matter. And bullying really may not target those protected classes, but it may be more of just a form of a put down or a slur against someone's name, or making up lies against someone in the office because they are unhappy with them or they're insecure.
Jealous. And now I taught in college in Texas and also Tennessee and Alabama, and there are now the students can sue the teachers, not just the administration or the superintendents and principals and all of those people. And the students now are becoming very aggressive and not respecting the teachers and the people who are over the school, especially if it's any type of private school, do not want to get they want to get the teacher fired rather than the students leave, because the students are paying the way for those schools. So that's a type of bullying that the youth are doing on the adults. And then you have the adults that are what do you think started this? What do you think happened that started so many people bullying?
Well, there was a study that was done, and you can read it in the book Emotional Intelligence, and they really go into several studies about the fact that there were these aggressive tendencies in the youth in the late 80s. And what we start to see now is, because of these studies that were done then, we can look at the reflection of that today, and those children of that time are in their 20s. And, the study basically said these children are more aggressive, they're more easily depressed, they're more apt to turn to violence or suicide. And I think that it's probably a culmination of societal problems. More people who come from broken families, more people are working and they don't have as much time to spend interacting with their children. There are a lot of media influences that really promote violent behavior, and so we're seeing crime, any type of gang interaction. They target parents who might be single parents or parents who are not around as much. And so I think there are many factors that go into why we're seeing more and more and more aggressive behavior. People are stressed out more often. They come home and they have bad behavior at home and they pass that on to their children. So I wish I could say it was just one thing, but I think it's a very circular answer. It comes back to the family, it comes back to the community. And all that.
And for me, I think it comes back to the faith. They spent $200 million when Clinton was president. They put together this program to study youth that are being influenced by, that are, the behavior is bullying. And there were 24 nonpartisan people, congressmen primarily, that participated in this, and it was a nationwide program. And they found that one of the things that could help was faith-based families and faith-based after-school activities. There are so many latchkey kids that they're running amok. They don't have mama's cookies on the table when they come home, or anything, or your grandma's or their dads or whatever, that they don't know. What are some of the solutions that you think are possible, Jennifer?
Well, I think of course, I'm very statistical, so one of the programs that I like to point to is the Always Bully Prevention Program. And it's a program that was done in Norway, and they did it over a 10-year time span. And with this program, what they did was they reported the effects of really taking down the bullying and seeing how that impacted crime. And with that program in Norway, they had a 50% reduction in crime. And they tested that in the state of South Carolina. And in South Carolina, they had a 20% reduction in crime. So just with that particular program alone, there was great results impacting not just people's lives, but also government tax money. We don't need bigger jails anymore. We're really looking at the opportunity to better someone's life. These people go on to be productive citizens, and that's one program. There are many out there. Positive Action is another excellent program that they work in schools, and they have had record results in not only decreasing what we would call bad behavior, but they also have increase in scholastic scores. So I think there are many solutions out there, but one of the things that I want to make sure that I really point out is that if someone is a victim of bullying, there are opportunities for them to go and find caring adults. In America's Promise, which is a really strong organization where they did a lot of research about youth, the top 2 things that were missing in a youth's life was a caring adult, and also the fact that they didn't have a safe place. And 42% of the youth are saying that they don't have a caring adult that they can talk to. And I think that that's something that we really have to look at and really think about, because if these children have no one to talk to, if we aren't safeguarding them, if we, be it a neighbor, a friend, a parent, a teacher, a police officer, if we are not providing safeguard to not only these children, but also to adults who are having people who are being aggressive towards them, that eventually rolls into violent crime, we really need to relook at how we interact and where we prioritize things, because when you see a statistic like 1 in 12 high school students try to attempt suicide, something is wrong with our society. Something is wrong with where we're prioritizing what is important.
Well, you referred to 3 different programs, and I thought, is there a way if you could say the name, maybe spell the name, so we could look it up on the internet or some way? So why don't you go through those 3 again?
Okay. Now the Bully Prevention Program, it's a mouthful. The best thing to do for that is just to go to Google or any of the search engines and just type in bully prevention. They actually have some of the best ways, and it will come up. It's called BullWiz. And there's another program, if you go to America's Promise, they have different ways that you can volunteer, and it's americaspromise.org, and it's chaired by Colin Powell and his wife. And that's a good place to start and get information about these different challenges that we have and some solutions that we can put in place. And also there's the Workplace Bullying Institute, and it's in Washington State. And that's another place that you can look on the internet. It's called the Workplace Bullying Institute, and they gather data on all the different challenges that we're having in the workplace as to this type of bullying. And there are also some success stories. Like there's a software company called Success Factors, and they are in California, and they have taken a pretty strong stance against bullying, and they have a specific policy that has shown that people will play nice in the sandbox. They will not steal other people's credit. They will not belittle people in front of others. They will coach people up to help them be successful, and they'll rejoice in their success. And so there are a lot of companies that are taking these anti-bullying policies and turning them into very, very productive companies that increase the bottom line.
One of the programs you mentioned was from Norway, and then I guess pilot program in here in North Carolina or one in South Carolina. How could someone find out more about that one and say that name of that again?
Right. It's the Always Bully Prevention Program, and it's OLWEUS, I believe. I know it's very hard. Always Bully Prevention Program, and like I said, the best thing to do is to go on the internet and just type in Always OLWEAUS, I believe. I don't even.
Very close to that, anyway. Well, one of the things that we can do is maybe participate more in the Big Brother, Big Sister, all of the different types of programs that are already in place. Of course, I did my dissertation on that particular. Well, it was the effect of radio, of television, internet, and video games on the relationship between parent and child. And what we actually did document is that if you will turn the television off, not just yet on this program, but if you will turn the television off and spend some time with your family or your neighbor's family. One of the people here in the village of Providence is an incredible person at sort of adopting the neighborhood children. Deb Berry does that, and she spends time with them and does things with them. So if you don't personally have a child or grandchild or a niece or nephew that's being bullied or that's close to you, then just in my words, adopt someone else or take them under your wing, love them, talk to them, but mainly listen to them. Well, what are some of the other, you've given us several things that do you have any stories that could have happened in addition to the one that I mentioned that could make it real to all of us?
Well, I know one that really stands out in my mind. I had read a book called The Bully, the Bullied, and the Bystander. And I think that really it's a great book, and it really talks about how we often could be any one of those players, a bully, one who's bullied, or someone who just observes. And I think that the author of that book really puts in some time showing that each person in that group has a vital role. And so I think, if you're the bully, one of the things that you really need to do is seek help. If you see that you're feeling insecure, you're constantly wanting to control people, wanting to tell them what to do or make them do what you want them to, and when they don't, you get angry, or you want to really cut people down only to make yourself look better, then this is part of the profile of a bully. The second part, of course, is the person who's bullied, and really they are the victim, the innocent one, someone who might be a little awkward or might have something a little bit different about them. Maybe they talk a little differently, or they're a little bit shy, or they have a different way of communicating. Or they may just be completely popular and someone's jealous of them. That happens many times between girls. And so I think that, if you're that person, there's a website that I want to send you to, and it's really an anonymous website, but it's like a chat site, and it's called www.bullying.org, and that site will allow you to talk to other people who have been bullied, or to be encouraged in the fact that you're not alone. You're not the only person in the world that has ever experienced this or been victimized by this. And of course, if you're a bystander, one of the things that you need to know is that you are endorsing this behavior. If you allow someone to just continue on berating someone, pushing them down on the playground, pushing them around in the office, talking ugly to them or cussing at them in the workplace, if you see this behavior and you don't say something about it, then you're saying that's okay. You're sending a message that you don't mind. And I think that it's really up to every individual. But the most powerful story out of that book is about the Columbine situation that I think everyone is very familiar with. They know all of the results of what happened at Columbine, the two boys who came in and shot multiple students, took their lives, and then took their own life. And the predecessor of that is that they were bullied for many years before they went to that extreme, and that doesn't excuse their behavior. But if only an adult had intervened, if only other people had stood up and said, no, this is not correct, you shouldn't bully these boys for being different, then maybe that would have never happened.
We're certainly hoping that a solution can come out of this, that you can be one that if you're bullied, or if you're bullying someone, or you're just a bystander and you're actually observing this, you're enabling this to happen. I think about the Good Samaritan, that most of them just walked by on the other side, the preacher and all the people, and then the Samaritan went to the aid of the person that needed help and took him to an inn and took care of him. So we need to just take charge with what's going on ourselves, and have just make a decision that you're not going to be a bystander and do nothing. I really appreciate your being here. And how could, in addition to the websites you've told us about and the books you've told us referred to, anything else that you'd like to add to this?
Well, I think another important thing is how can we take control back from the bully, and maybe that's something that I haven't really pointed out. But if someone's bullying you, the first step is to tell them to stop. And a lot of times that will push them to someone else, unfortunately. But at least it will start with you, and you say, stop the behavior. And then the second thing is to report it to someone you trust, someone who will believe you. And, you know, it's the same in the workplace. If someone's bullying you in the office, then you should report it to your EEOC officer, or to your human resources person, or to your executives who think, you know, very highly of, you know, creating and fostering a learning environment. So I would say the last thing that you would want to do is keep telling someone. If the first person you tell doesn't believe you, then if it continues to happen, keep telling someone, and don't give up until someone comes to your aid. Don't take your own life because you think there's no hope out there.
Thank you, Jennifer. This is so important that we do follow this plan, and you see how incredible these statistics are, that more than a third of the people are being bullied in school and work, and of course we know about the abuse in home, so it's happening in homes too. I want to thank you, Jennifer Starace, for being here, and I wish I could invite everyone to come hear her, but maybe they'll make a tape of it and you can get the tape, but you certainly can, of this particular DVD. So you just get in touch with us. You see that toll-free number running across the bottom of the screen, 877-823-6886, and bless your heart for watching.